Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting, April 9th, 2024. We'll start with the prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Leahy. Council Mercier.
Here.
Council Noon.
Here.
Council Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Rourke.
Here.
Council Scott.
Here.
Council Yem.
Here.
Council Chow.
Here.
Council Dakota.
Here.
Council Gitchia.
Here.
Council Janess.
Here.
10 present.
2, Mayor's Business 2.1. I'm sorry, any moments of silence? No. 2, Mayor's Business 2.1, Communication, Remote Zoom Participation. Motion to accept the place on file by Council Mercier, seconded by Council Janess. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 2.2, we have a recognition for our National Library Week. I do have something to say about it, but first I'd like to have a motion to accept and place on file by Council Gitchia, seconded by Council Mercier. With that being said, April 7th to April 13th, 2024 is National Library Week. Whereas libraries are not just about what they have for people, but what they do for and with people. Libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions. The library workers and librarians fuel efforts to better the communities, campuses, and schools. And whereas librarians are leaders in their institutions and organizations, in the communities, in the nation, and in the world. The librarians continue to lead the way in leveling the playing field for all those who seek information and access to technologies. And whereas libraries and librarians look beyond the traditional roles and provide transformative opportunities for education, employment, entrepreneurship, empowerment, and engagement, as well as new services that connect closely with patrons' needs. They lead their communities in innovation, providing STEM programming, makerspace, and access and training for new technologies. Libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters all across America are celebrating National Library Week. Now, therefore, I, Daniel P. Rourke, Mayor of Lowell, on behalf of my colleagues on the Council, proclaim National Library Week, April 7th to the 13th, 2024 in the City of Lowell. I encourage all residents to visit their library this week to take advantage of the wonderful library resources available. During this week, let us all take a moment to recognize the valuable contributions made by our local libraries and thank a librarian or librarian worker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, and councilors. I want to just reach out and thank you as the Library Director for your continued support of the library and all of the services we're able to provide. National Library Week is a chance for our library and our new bookmobile to reaffirm our mission to provide diverse resources and materials, technology access, appealing programs and services to all Lowellians. It's our privilege to serve residents of Lowell in their literacy and lifelong learning goals, and we're grateful for all the city departments, community agencies, and groups that help us work towards our mission every day. As a special recognition, today is National Library Workers Day, so I want to make sure I give a shout out to all of the staff at my building. They are amazing, and they come up with creative ways to serve our patrons each and every day. Do you want to clap? As Mayor Rourke said, this week we're hosting a number of great events for all ages, so feel free to come by anytime. We're doing a special presentation tomorrow night. This year we will celebrate the 180th anniversary of the ordinance that established the library, so I'll be doing a little bit of a presentation tomorrow night starting at 5:30. This is open to the public about the history of the library, all the great things we've done, a little bit of the controversies, not a lot, and also where we're going in the future. So that way you have an idea of where our plan is, how we're going to serve the patrons and residents of the city better, and how we're going to keep making a difference in the city of Lowell. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank you and the staff at the library. After my kids grown up, now I become the library members as well. So I love the building. I love the beautiful building and the work that a lot of people dedicated to. So I'm a card holder of the library. Just want you to know.
Thank you. Moving,
Mr. Mayor,
Marcia?
since we're talking about the library and the library people are here, could we suspend the rules and allow motion response 6.1A about the bookmobile so that this young lady has a lot to do and we won't have to keep her here all night long?
Yes.
I second it.
Great. I just want to do the city clerk, the minutes from last meeting. 3.1, section city clerk minutes of the transportation subcommittee, April 2nd, city council regular meeting, April 2nd, economic downtown development subcommittee, April 4th for acceptance. Motion placed on file by Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Scott. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. Motion on the floor to take Councilor?
6.1.
6.1 out of
A.
order, second by Councilor Robinson. 6.1, the bookmobile. Councilor Noon, you with us?
I am, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report, Bridget. Happy the National Library Week to all you and the staff for the good work you have done for our city and for our residents. The report is very detailed. I appreciate it. You know, I and my colleague will help in any way we can in terms of, you know, let people know and make it, you know, so that every turn that the bookmobile go and that you were welcomed by a lot of children and adults as well. Thank you.
Councilor Russia.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the motion by Councilor Noon because I didn't realize that what their schedule was all about and how were they utilizing this bookmobile. But when we got a response from Bridget Cooley, this is the library director, it was quite detailed and very, very informative. And to tell you the truth, I'm exhausted. This is really a well put together report. So to everyone in National Library Week, thank you very much for a great presentation. Thank you.
Excellent.
Your
All right,
Honor.
turn, Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. Since we're under suspension, could I take up 513? We have a speaker here.
Yeah, we still done with the library.
Library. I just want a quick
Once
comment
we're
on the
done that,
library.
yeah.
Councilor Chago.
If you don't mind, Councilor Leahy, I want to congratulate the library staff and the trustee who's here also for all the great work that you have done. As Councilor Yam mentioned, I've been a lifelong user of the library as well, very, very valuable resources, and I encourage all the kids, instead of studying at home, you can go study at the library. It's very, very engaging. It actually motivates you to study better, study harder, and you can do better in school as well. And it's a great schedule for the bookmobile. I spoke with Belinda and Donna before, just excited a few months ago where the bookmobile is going to go, and it covers every corner of the city, every neighborhood in the city that normally the kids or the families who would have struggled with transportation, to be able to have the library right in their backyard and the parks that they go to every day, every evening anyway. That's a great resource, a great service you are providing. So thank you for doing all that.
Thank you. Thank you all again. Appreciate it. Councilor Leahy.
While we're still under suspension, could we take up 513? We have a very important speaker here.
Motion by Councilor Leahy to take 513 out of order, second by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. 513, Councilor Leahy requests city manager have DPW tree warden inspect trees on Inland and Midland Streets in terms of safety in the neighborhood. Seconded by Councilor Dakota.
Registered speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Aaron Sheehy.
Hello. Thank you for, thank the City Council for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. I've lived on Inland Street since 2008, and over the years, we've had multiple issues with the dead trees. I think we have 10 or 11. Actually, we had 11 this last storm that we had. an entire tree came down and crushed one of my neighbor's cars. Completely. If you drive by Inland Street, it's still there. It's done damage to the roads, our sidewalks. My wife and my kids and I, we laugh because we call the puddle in front of my house that forms Lake Sheehy, because the water can't get down to the drainage because of the roots that are coming up through the sidewalk. We've had many houses damaged. A friend of mine, Den, here with me tonight, who lives across the street. He's got young kids. We see all these branches falling down. His next door neighbor, last year, him and I were cutting a tree till almost 1 o'clock in the morning that came down, ruined his front porch and his front steps. And then a couple months after that, the neighbor next to him, another branch came down, ripped out their porch. They were without power. About 7 years ago now, I think it was, 6, 7 years ago, my service got ripped right off my house from a branch that came down that we addressed the city to see if we could cut the tree down, and we're told that because it was not our property that we couldn't cut the tree down, it was the city's. Well, shortly after that, a branch came down and ripped the service off of my house the beginning of November. I have pets, so I got to stay home with no power until I got National Grid. I got the order to actually go ahead and do it because we had to put in a permit. So it's been a really big inconvenience on the street. They've been assessed many times. As a matter of fact, I don't remember how long ago it was, but I had a woman, there was 2 women that came and assessed the trees, and she said, "You know, most of the trees on the street are dead, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, they are." And we thought that it was going to be handled then, and it wasn't. And every storm, whether it's wind, snow, you all know these storms that we get now. We don't get the storms like we did when we were kids with the snow. We get that wet, heavy, usually the beginning of the winter, more towards the end. And we get all that heaviness, and it just takes these branches down. I mean, landing on cars, I literally dragged one off my street the other day. 6-foot branch, 4 inches in diameter. It's just sitting on the sidewalk because now cars have to get around this, and there's no way to go. Again, it's a major issue. I've had the city taking pictures. I had a guy from the streets department years back take pictures, actually brought them in, and I never heard anything back. All I ask is now, with the destruction of the properties, that's one thing. When I moved into that house, there was my kids, who are older now, and another family up the road that was pretty much it. Over the last couple of years, many families have moved in, a lot of children on that street that are constantly playing basketball, riding their bikes. I mean, we have ranges from 3 to 14, 15-year-old kids that are constantly on this street. And when I saw that car get crushed by that tree, now I have the pictures to prove it. I don't know how many of you have seen it. It wasn't just a branch. This whole tree came down on this car. My daughter drives now. My wife, luckily, I park in the driveway, which the branches hang over my driveway, so unfortunately I still get some on my car as well. But my wife, my daughter, they park on the street. My friends' family members park on the street. Our neighbors, there's a group of us that we don't hang out all the time, but we talk when we can, and there's a lot of concerns because now the kids, we all think the same thing. The kids are out there, God forbid, a branch comes down when this totally could have been avoided. The street over from us, there's no trees for this same reason, because there was dead trees. They actually have sidewalks paved. We had them come out 2 years ago, and they just overlaid the pavement that was already there. It lasted okay for a little bit, and I thought the puddle in front of my house was going to be gone. Well, about 6 months later, those puddles are back. They have been back. Now the water is just going right back up my street. So when you walk out of my front door, the whole front of my house where you park your car is a sheet of ice in the winter. It's another thing. Do I have to wait until I slip, fall, the mailman slips, falls, somebody delivering something? I think it's a small price to pay to get these things removed, because in the long run, it's not just going to be a car that we're pulling a tree off of. It's probably going to be one of these little kids riding their bike, playing basketball. This weather that we see, they were out there tonight. You know, as much as the craziness even behind my house, when I get home from work, it's loud and the kids are hooting and hollering, but at least they're not on their cell phones, and it's a pleasure to hear them. At least they have the yard. Some kids don't have that option, so they're in the street. So again, I'm just here to say thank you for hearing us in person and not just making phone calls and emails. And I hope in the near future we can get this taken care of and fixed the right way, not just, throw the bandage on the street and call it a day. And that's all I have to say. I thank you again for listening, and hopefully we can get this taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Shi. Just name and address for the record, please. Just your name and address for the record, that's all.
Yep, Aaron Sheehy, 38 Inland Street.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sherry Barboza. Sherry Barboza.
Council Leahy? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the manager. So this, again, has been an issue that's been inherited by 2 or 3 engineers, 2 managers, and 2 or 3 DPW workers, commissioners. So this is something we've been trying to take care of for a long time. People come and go. Next person takes a few months to catch up to speed. Something else comes up, gets put on the back burner. And again, here we are 6 to 10 years later, really. So if this could be looked at and addressed, it was quite expensive to take the trees out and fix the sidewalks. But, what's the price on somebody getting hurt? We're going to have to buy a new car when, if that was a city tree and I crushed that car this week, we're going to have to deal with that. So if we can address this sooner than later, it would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Getcha?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. In my first term, we talked about Inland Street over and over again. And it's a walkability to the Washington School. We went over it about the paving, resetting the sidewalks, doing the curbing. We went up there and all we did was overlay the road. We don't have a tree warden in this city. We have an appointed person who's not a certified real tree warden. So we get someone who's appointed by title to be a tree warden. We don't have someone who's actually certified to be a tree warden. We've talked about that multiple times. And then we watch around the city all of these branches that people are complaining about and going over that we really need to do better at. Inland Street's a complete mess. It's a walkability to the Washington School. They should have reset those curbs when they did that and done away with all the dead trees and then replanted if they had to. But if you go up there, you'll see, it doesn't take even the average eye can see that a tree's gonna, it's not livable anymore. So I think that we need to make informed decisions on these roads as we just overlay. And when they did it last time, they overlaid it and left a basin down 2 feet that we took pictures of and then had it reset at the end of a driveway because it was such a rush just to go over that road. And that's not the quality construction that we should be doing in the city.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm familiar with that area in the Highlands, all those side streets off of Chelmsford Street when you go up like you're heading towards Chelmsford to the right, all those streets. We gathered one time many years ago and formed a group of city officials to go and look at all the trees in that area and the sidewalks, how you couldn't even walk with a child or move a baby carriage because the streets, because of the sidewalks, because of the roots, were all lifting up, and it was just a mess. Maybe at that time we stopped at Inland Street when we probably felt that that looked better than what we had looked at previously. So it's nice to know that we need to address it. I know it's going to cost money. I know that we all love trees, but when you think about the danger that poses when a tree is rotted and it looks good, and you have small children or you have loved ones, I'm certainly sure you don't want them trees to fall down and hurt or kill your family. But be that as it may, I'm thinking, and I'm upset to hear that, you know, we're calling the city about this tree. It looks very unsafe. It's probably rotted inside. No one can tell me for sure, but I get this feeling from seeing things fall off it. Could you please come down and take a look at it? When you see this tree and it's on city property, but somehow you are right because the tree is now down and it fell on your property, but because it's a city tree but it fell on your property, the residents have to be responsible to get rid of it. Maybe it's true, but it seems so unfair. I don't know why we can't help residents that are taxpayers and paid their taxes all these years, and we can't come forward and help them with this. I would be willing to say, could the city help them with this? And I wish we could hire like an arborist to go along and give us a report as to the structurability of these trees, because I would like to know that before it's too late and someone is killed. I mean, I don't want to spend any money like anybody else, but I want safety first. Safety first. This man came all the way up here to talk about his fear, and it's a legitimate fear, and I'd like to be the city council that can help him, straighten this out. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the speakers that came out to speak on this. Sounds like it's a clear-cut safety issue. I mean, we're seeing damage to private properties as a result of city-owned trees. McPherson's, anyone that's familiar with Centerville, it's that sidewalk is not passable, certain sections, because of tree roots. And I think a lot of that comes down to poor planning in the past. And in a lot of communities, when they plant trees in a public way, they plant them deep enough that they leave about 1.5 to 2 foot air gap. And what that will do is the air itself will prune the roots and prevent the roots from lifting up the walking surface that's finished. And so I think that's something when we're looking to redo areas, we really need to make sure that that's in the plans, because that's how both can function. You can have your shade, your tree, and preserve your walkway, public walkway. I know personally, when I was involved with the union in the city, we've had employees that were more than willing to go and get their arborist license, become a tree warden. It was promised in the past. Some of the things, though, that are entailed when you start looking at that is pay. If you compare what an arborist or tree warden gets in surrounding communities, I mean, there's a significant difference from what we're paying our tree crew. And also, the educational component. I mean, there is intensive training required, but I do know firsthand, we do have some employees that would be more than willing and very interested in acquiring that. So I think it's a great opportunity to provide a couple rungs on the ladder for our own employees, and also kind of have somebody to keep a running list of some of these problem areas. So I thank the speakers, and I think this warrants corrective actions. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. It's not quite 7 o'clock yet. Be on a couple of
Mr. Mayor.
5.1.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say, okay. Yeah, take 5.1, please. Thank you.
5.1, Councilor Robinson requests city manager provide a detailed report on the impact of culvert situation in the area of Circuit Avenue and what programs are available to assist our impacted residents. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Robinson.
There is a registered speaker here, Mr. Mayor. Joanne DeFawn.
It's actually going to be Jillian Thibodeau.
Yes.
Address, please.
4 Brayburn Court, Harvard, Mass. 01451. Good evening. My name is Jillian Thibodeau. I'm here on behalf of my Nana, Barbara Visaki, who resides on 186 Circuit Ave in South Lowell. Sunday morning, March 24th, my Nana woke up to 4 feet of water, not inches, 4 feet of water in her basement because the culvert at the end of Circuit Ave was completely blocked from tons of debris, logs, sticks, etc. The City of Lowell has neglected to clean out the culvert, which caused the water to be redirected into my Nana's basement and surrounding properties. My Nana is 82 years old, and she has lived there for just about 52 years. Nothing like this has ever happened. She has $30,000 to $35,000 worth of damage. My grandmother does not live in a flood zone, so she has not needed flood insurance. Due to not having flood insurance, my Nana will now be responsible to pay these expenses out of pocket. She owns a duplex, which flooded both sides of the basement, which means replacing double of everything. Again, this happened because of the City of Lowell neglected to clean out the culvert. One of her neighbors would call over the years, and they would give him the runaround of who was responsible in the maintenance of the culvert, leaving the neighbors to clean it themselves at times, which is not their responsibility. What we would like to see happen is my Nana be reimbursed and the culvert to be maintained in a timely manner. There needs to be a reimbursement program for when something like this happens, especially for our elderly. If this was your grandmother or mother, wouldn't you want them to have the resources to recoup their losses?
So, ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there is a claim that was filed, and now it's in our legal department, so I don't know if you want to be talking about it in open session. Yeah, it's a.
Well, it's just for we want to just
want-
give examples of why we want the program.
You're on video and live TV, so it's a claim filed. If you want to speak, go right ahead, but we can forward you to the law department tomorrow for a conversation if you want.
Okay. Do you want to say that?
Yes, this is all right. Just wanted to speak on the culvert.
Name and address, please.
My name is Joanne Delfont, and I live at 18 Vincent Street, Lowell, Mass. So I just want to pass this picture around. This is
So I'm sorry, you can't. It's a legal thing. Pictures and stuff like that. It's not for this place here. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
then
It's
is
not anything.
DPW
Yeah, it's not
thing?
negative. It's not for this. You submitted a claim legally. That's where it should be. No disrespect, but that's just the way it is. Okay, all right. I appreciate the motion, all that other stuff, but just it's a legal matter.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you filed a claim and you had it accompanied with pictures, is that possible? That's possible, isn't it?
I think most claims are.
Okay, so why could she say that she forgot to submit it when she filed the claim?
She could give whatever she likes to the law office tomorrow, Mr. Council Mercer. Whoever, if you would add to it, that's fine.
We can't look at this, Mr. Solicitor?
So we get claims every week, right?
Yes.
And we forward them to the law department right away to look at them and go over them, and then they respond. I don't think there's any problem with the person filing the claim to contact law. I think law does that anyway, to contact them.
So I don't know why we can't see this picture. I don't understand that.
Mr. Mayor, as the maker of the motion, when we get claims in our packet, usually they're accompanied by pictures sometimes.
100%.
If they want to pass the picture around, wouldn't we be allowed to take a look at the picture? And then I'd also just like to make sure, is it possible, I understand we can't discuss this issue on an open floor. Can we at least have someone from the law department please reach out to the family tomorrow for a follow-up conversation to this?
Mr. Solicitor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So at this point, the claim that has been discussed, that was already referred to the law department. They are more than welcome to supplement that and send that to the law department, and it will get distributed to the attorney that's been assigned to. We do have a process, like protocol, that's in place when a claim comes in. We will contact whoever it is that made the claim, discuss where things are at, establish the position of the city, things of that nature. If it is the wish of the council, we could reach out to them tomorrow, but when claims come in, we do have a process in place for handling all this appropriately. And if people do want to supplement, they can send that into the law department anytime, and we'll add it to their file.
Well, could we take it now and give it to you so you could submit it with that? Do you want to
Sure.
do that? Yeah. All right, then.
Councilor Getchia?
Mayor Rourke, for the record, we all do have copies of it. We all got them in our packet. They're all right here in the packet, so everybody who's a city councilor got these in their packet. It's just for the record, so we do have the pitch as the council, so, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. It being 7 o'clock, we'll go back to the public hearings, utility public hearings. 4.1, National Grid requests installation of upgraded gas mains, Campbell Drive, Wedge Street, Laura Street, Redora Street, and Atlantic Street, and Ruth Street. Start with the open, for all those in favor? In favor?
Hi, good evening. Diana Cuddy, National Grid, 170 Data Drive, Waltham, Massachusetts. I'm in favor of this petition.
Anyone else? That being closed, all those opposition? Opposition? That part of the hearing closed. Any comments? Councilors, questions? Need a motion to refer to water inspector for a report recommendation by Councilor Mercer, second by Councilor Janess. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.2, National Grid requests installation of upgraded gas mains in Harvard, Stevens, Troy, and Nicollet Streets. Need a motion to, such as. Start all those open in favor?
Diana Cuddy, National Grid, 170 Data Drive, Waltham, Massachusetts, and I'm in favor of this.
In favor? Favor. The hearing is closed. All those opposition? Opposition. That portion of the hearing is closed. The motion to refer to wire inspector for a report recommendation by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.3, National Grid requests installation of underground electric conduit for upgrade at 128 Fayette Street. All those in, open up the hearing for all those in favor. Zhang?
Vaznang, 1101 Turnpike Street, North Andover, Mass. Represent National Grid Electric side.
All those in favor? In favor, that portion of the hearing is closed. All those in opposition? Opposition, that portion of the hearing is closed. The motion to refer to wire inspector for a report recommendation by Councilor Dakota, second by Councilor Chow. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.4, National Grid request installation of underground electric conduit for new service at 78-80 Middlesex Street. All those in favor? Open that part, I'm sorry. Portion of the meeting, open those in favor. Staying?
That's it.
Just say it again. Yeah, one time.
Vaznang, 1101 Turnpike Street, North Andover, Mass.
All those in favor? In favor, that portion of the hearing is closed. All those in opposition? Opposition, that portion of the hearing is closed. The motion to refer to wire inspector for a report and recommendation by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Janess. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Stan. Referring back to the city council motions, 5.1 being all set. 5.2, Councilor Robinson requests city manager have the proper department provide an update on status of syringe exchange programs in the community and what regulatory options exist on the local level. Seconded by Councilor Yem. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. This is something that was brought up before. The volume of syringes being found in public space is astronomical. And some of the things other communities have implemented is basically trackable syringes, where syringes would be registered to a organization that's handing them out in the community. And so we could see, at least keep track of numbers, where they're coming from. Other things are syringe exchange programs that are heavily regulated to the point where you get an initial allotment, and then it's like, bring one back dirty for a clean one. I mean, we have to take a look at what can we do within our community to kind of rein in some of this stuff, because there's too many places popping up, but especially now that the snow is done, knock on wood, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of these, and it's just the beginning of the nice weather coming, so thank you.
Other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.3, Councilor Robinson requests city manager explore recombining parks and recreation and further explore the creation of an enterprise fund. Seconded by Councilor Getchia. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I mean, we invested $10 million into open space improvements pretty much through ARPA. In addition, the Board of Parks are working tirelessly to revamp and look at all of our fee structures. And I mean, we have a lot of things on the horizon in the pipeline for our residents when it comes to open space. Quite some time ago, parks was part of, or combined with recreation, and it kind of made sense because, you know, the permitting structure and the usage and all that. At some point in time, they disconnected those two and put it under health. So I think it might be something to reconsider if possible, because with all of these potential permittable opportunities coming up in the pipeline, as well as the fee structure realignment, and then if it is something that we could look at as far as establishing maybe some kind of fund where that money goes back into just the maintenance and upkeep of the fields that are being permitted. I think we're seeing, you know, fertilization programs or replacing irrigation. Anything we can do to try to think forward on this would be greatly appreciated as well. Thank you.
Councilor Getchia?
Mr. Mayor, this motion, with the exception of the enterprise piece, was put in a year and a half ago to look at that. To you, to Manager Golden, have we looked at combining those two departments, parks and recreation, back together?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Councilor, we did start to look at this, but knowing that we're going to have to increase the fee for an actual, I know you're saying without the enterprise fund, but we're thinking through the enterprise fund. Could this possibly happen? This is a little bit of a challenge. We're not bringing in enough money right now that would withstand the costs, if you would, that takes us to control, to clean and control all of our parks. So this is something we've looked at, and it'll be another good idea, especially that we're going to try to realign the fees. But once again, further concern was if we're realigning fees, I don't think any council here, or we're not in the position to want to charge some of our local folks. So that's where one of my concerns would be.
So my question, I guess, is can we do this in the first stage and put Parks and Rec together like it used to be and try to manage it that way? That's what we put in well over a year ago, and I was just waiting for the response until I saw this motion. Then do it in two steps, maybe put them back in there and then look at the enterprise piece. But I'm not sure that an enterprise piece like you outlined would be feasible for anybody to rent anything. But is there a wish from your administration to put these two departments back together? Because we've had plenty of time to think about it.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, through to the council, we could look at it again, Councilor, but we were looking at the fee structure first. We will. I'll take a peek at this and see if Parks and Rec bringing them back together is an idea that's worth bringing back to the council.
Is there a time frame on how long?
I don't have.
Because it's been over a year since we talked about it. It's back.
But I don't have a time frame on this particular. But I'll get it back as soon as possible.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Mercer.
could we combine 5.4 and 5.9 if the maker of these motions agree? They seem to be the same.
I'll start with 5.4. Councilor Robinson requests city manager have private department provide an update on who's responsible to make necessary improvements to school kitchens in order to pass inspections, and what is the plan moving forward to ensure routine maintenance. There's a motion on the floor to combine this with 5.9 by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Chow. All those in favor? Councilor Gitchie, you all set with that? 5.9, Councilor Gitchie requests city manager provide the city council with a report on all violations within school kitchens, who is responsible for the maintenance of the kitchens, and addressing these violations in a timely manner. Seconded by Councilor Gitchie, seconds Councilor Robinson. Councilor Robinson, Councilor Gitchie. Councilor Robinson.
5.4, it pretty much speaks for itself.
Thank you. Councilor Robinson, Councilor Gitchie.
And thank you. It's concerning to me when you read the report of failures in some of the facilities, and I don't know if we're being told that these things are failing. When you look at the McAuliffe School, we looked at ceiling tiles in front of the walk-in are stained from a leak. And then it said ceiling tiles in the kitchen, storage, and corridor by the bathroom are peeling. That was on January 22nd of 2024. And they gave them over a month to fix it. And they came back on February 29th of 2024 and re-inspected, and it failed for the same exact thing. So I'm wondering who actually goes to these places. You look at the Robinson, it says ceiling tiles around heaters are missing. And that was on 1/22/24. and then they gave him a month again, and it failed again on 2/29/24. And then it says evidence of rodents in the kitchen and storage room. It failed on 1/17/24 and again on 3/7/24. The Greenhouse School, it says the men's room toilet paper dispenser is rusted and its paint is peeling. I don't know if it takes this long to fix these things, but that was in September 26, 2023. They came back and failed it again on February 7th of 2024 for a dispenser, a paper dispenser. Unscrew the thing and put a new one in. Ceiling tiles missing and stained from leaks by the serving stations. Same thing. Freshman Academy, hot water in staff bathroom insufficient. It failed on January 17th of 24 and failed again on February 7th of 2024. Light in staff bathroom, missing cover. That failed for a missing cover. We couldn't put a cover up after we see a report, and it takes 2 months to figure that out. A cover plate for an electrical outlet by the extinguisher in the kitchen broken. That's at the Freshman Academy. Again, 2 months. The Shaughnessy School heat detector cover over needs to be replaced. That was failed on December 13th of 2023 and failed again on January 30th of 2024. And I'm sure today, if we all go back there, half of these things are probably the same. If there's ever a time that this city needs a facilities department, it is now, because it's the simplest thing. We talked about an elevator with the assistant city manager who didn't even know it was out. He said, I wasn't notified, and to his knowledge, the city wasn't notified. So policies, procedures, in our world, a facilities department does these things. Somebody knows it, somebody fixes it, and these things are satisfied easily. Before someone even comes back, you take pictures, you send it to the health department, they come back, and it's a simple thing. But we wait months, we send over 2 functions. The function is we still have to fix the issue, but yet it's our department that's going out in the health department. So we're wasting double the energy to do something that is as simple as change a light cover, replace a toilet paper dispenser. And we have to send the health department out, and now we have to go back over it again and again and again, and we wonder why we're not getting the bang for our dollar with our health department going out to other areas, to restaurants, and meeting their demands. So we're in a real poor situation here, and we need to get a facilities department together. And I think this council needs to push harder on that, because at the end of the day, the custodians need to report over, and we're making the worst mistake ever is giving a custodian the authority to do all the reporting when the school's under ed reform. The principal's in charge of the school. So I don't understand why principals aren't doing it. And then every time you say something, oh, the custodian didn't. So we're going to just hit at the lowest level and say, it's your fault that you didn't tell us this. But we have written reports from the health department that tell us these deficiencies, and nobody's either reading them or they're not coming to the administration, which I would highly doubt that our assistant city manager has any idea of these things when they're happening, because I am sure that they would have got fixed. And if the roof is leaking, changing a ceiling tile and putting one up, it's going to be stained the next time you come back. So if there's a way we can start looking at this stuff, I think it's important for the students, for the staff, for the residents, for everybody. When you read the Lowell Sun, you think that the sky's falling, but there's ceiling tiles and, a bathroom dispenser, not the food area. Thank you.
All those in favor of both motions say aye. Opposed? Motion is passed. 5.5, Councilor Yem requests city manager to have the appropriate department provide a safe crossing to and from the Merkland School over Fletcher Street at the Firefighter Club, at the intersection of Woolley Street, at the intersection of Butterfield Street, at the intersection of Varney Street. I'll just say the entire acre, Councilor, right? Yeah. Seconded by Councilor Robinson. Councilor Yem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The picture is not the right one. The map is about the Fletcher Street. If you travel on Fletcher Street northbound from Broadway, you will face that the parent who have children that cross the street, who live on the western part of Fletcher Street, their children have to cross the really dangerous street to go to the Merkland. I have parents that reach out to me and ask me to do something about that, and I said I will file the motion. This is been a while going on. We used to have a crossing guard, but then after the pandemic, we do not have it anymore. There are about 5 crossing from the western part of the of Fletcher Street to cross over to the Merkland School through the North Common. If you go cross street, there's a side the crossing on to the other side of Fletcher Street, and then at the corner of Willie, when Willie Street meet with Fletcher, you see you have another crossing. I put up the map here so everyone can see how many crossing to go to Merkland School and the North Common. And then after that, there used to be there's a Butterfield. The Butterfield used to have crossing guard, but no longer has it. And then you go, the next one is Varney Street. After the Varney Street, then you will have Rockdale Ave, another crossing before you reach to Bauer Street. There is a 4-way stop at Bauer Street. So the parent crossing the street with their children to protect them. A few of them have contacted me and say they almost get hit because the car was rushing from Pawtucket Street to go to work to Dutton Street. So I'm asking if the city can, engineer can take a look at it and maybe minimize some of the crossing. I could see the Willie Street at Fletcher Street that could be like partitioned off with a safeguard so they don't have to cross that. But the Butterfield one is the one really critical along with the Varney Street. Those are the area that most children crossing to the Merkland Street. So I urge the manager and the engineer department to take a look at that. And if you wouldn't mind, you can do a traffic count and you can tell that there's a lot of cars driving there. And there should be an enforcement that we have 25 miles per hour now. So should have some enforcement, maybe just give a warning ticket that now we are having 25 miles per hour in the city. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All due respect to Councilor Yem, the Lowell School Department has worked with the Lowell Police Department each year before school starts in where we're placing our crossing guards. This particular area has had the same crossing guard for 22 years at Fletcher at Butterfield. We understand that you can't have a crossing guard every 50 yards here. So it has always been that the parents would walk their kids up all the way up to Butterfield, cross it. Once you cross, you're right at the walkway of the Merkland School on the back end. Now, I went by there a couple days ago and I noticed parents just crossing with their kids and not walking up to Butterfield where the crossing guard is. There has been one there. There always has been one there. It's just a question of the parents want to cross before they get to Butterfield. And with all due respect, Councilor.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Councilor Dakota, I mentioned to Councilor Dakota during the transportation subcommittee, and Councilor Dakota said he's going to talk to the police department, but the parent that I spoke with, she said we don't see any police officer, only at the stock closeout we saw the police department. Maybe to eliminate, and we need to do away with some of the crossing, so that because everybody who see the crossing, they say it's safe to cross. So, but I leave that up to the city engineer to come up with the solution. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.6, Councilor Yem. Request city manager have the appropriate department place Rockdale Ave on the repaving list. Seconded by Councilor Robinson. Councilor Yem.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is also brought up by a parent who recently moved into the area. Before that, we have a few residents that were living there mentioned that the road is really in bad condition, and they asked that if the city could do something about that. This particular Rockdale Ave, it's a really short one-way street, start out from Bowers Street, and then it wrap around, and then it meet up at the Fletcher Street. The road had been really broken up and really narrow. There's a lot of car parked. So this particular family said, I have 4 children with all that parked cars. The children have no place to play. The picture you saw there is at the beginning of Bowers and Rockdale Ave. When the rain come, the big puddle collected. And then if you go further down, there's a big really hole on the street. And at the end of it, before you make a left turn onto Fletcher Street, there's a lot of broken, and it's really opening up, and everything else is really collecting rains and dirts and all of that. So it really need to take a look at that. I appreciate if the manager can, have the city engineer and take a look at that. If that can be added to the paving list of 2024, will be greatly appreciated, especially for the resident who live on that Rockdale Ave. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Getchia?
Mr. Mayor, we do have a road surface rating index that includes these, but I wonder if that road, just by looking at it, is even an accepted road. So if it's not accepted, the city wouldn't do it anyway. So there's a non-accepted road list that goes on, and it may be that doesn't even meet the accepted road list. So I think that's something that probably should look at, because there is a road surface rating that would put it on it. That's why you have those done, is so that one road doesn't jump another in the process of politics. And just because of the road surface rating will give the engineer the ability to look at things and say, okay, this is failing and it rates high, so that's how you do that and get to the worst streets first. But I don't know, looking at that's an accepted street or not.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion. Councilor Leahy, go ahead.
Thank you. Quick question on this through you to the manager. So I understand we do have the rating system, but with the way the winters are panning out, I was walking up Draper Street on the way to the Sullivan School, and that street looks like all of a sudden it's a disaster. So do we reevaluate? I know we come up with a list and we try to hire the pavers to come in during the paving season, but do we reevaluate at the beginning of the season just to make sure we're on schedule, we're accurate? Because all of a sudden Draper Street just looks like it fell apart, and it didn't look like that a month ago, and now it's like, what the heck happened?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, yes, we do every 3 years, and we're actually in the process of putting a new RSR, receiving a new RSR. So that will be happening. But you're right. I mean, in the winters and with the rain we've had and the freeze and thaw and so on and so forth, that's really what's happening throughout the city. But, once again, I do want to commend the city council once again. This council, as well as the council previously, we were spending only $3.7 million on our roads. And last year, I think we were going to go to 11, close to $12 million, and hopefully, 12 to 13 at the council's acceptance of whatever we bring forward in the future. So in the last 3 budgets, we really have provided it's accepted this coming year, we'll be putting over $30 million into our roads, where previously we just weren't spending it. So yes, you're absolutely correct. I see that driving down. One day this particular road, any road, is fine, but with this freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing, it looks as though we hadn't touched it in quite some time. So you are absolutely correct with that, sir.
Maybe a suggestion, Mr. Manager, if we could have maybe a city engineer maybe hold a subcommittee meeting and always repaving questions, every street maybe in the city that councils can bring forward. They could do it at that subcommittee instead of, every week we have 2 or 3 streets that, take up a half hour of time. Just a suggestion that if we can, have 1 or 2 meetings back to back maybe, and just discuss all this at once and find out where streets are, what streets can be added, and what streets maybe don't need the extra work. So I'll leave that out there for the body. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.7, Councilor Getchia, request city manager provide the city council with a number of elevators in each facility and school building, the location of each elevator, the age of each elevator, and who is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the elevators. Seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Just recently we had an elevator that was out of service, and when we looked at the elevator issue and I had called the administration, they were unaware that the elevator was out of service for 2 weeks. They were not made aware of it. And when you look at something like that and we're saying, okay, who's in charge of this? What's the policy? And I was told that there's a threshold that the city pays, and then there's a threshold that the school department pays, and maybe the CFO knows that answer better than me, but we never could come up with a number that said, okay, if it's over this, then the city has to do it. If it's this, then I would think that that should just fall under the city side, and they should call you every time an elevator is out. That should be the policy going forward, is at least let you know that the elevator is out, and you can determine to get the person over there to fix that, because leaving it to a custodian, or the custodian reports to their supervisor who doesn't report to the DPW for 2 weeks, is what the story comes back as. And now you have students who have disabilities who can't move through the building, or staff who can't move through the building, and they're upset. And if we would have done it on the date that it actually happened, we would have actually known, and it would already be fixed, because the part is delayed by a month. So it would have been fixed. And that's the question, is how many elevators do we have? How old are they? Should they be in a capital plan at this point? And should we start looking at, okay, what's it costing either the school department or us to make these repairs? Because they're a necessity in the school. They're not an option. It's ADA compliant, and we should know the age of these things and start looking at, and I don't think the city side knows that, but that would be up to you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, you're right. The custodians are first line of defense. Our custodians, as well as our principals and assistant principals, they're first line of defense. We've had this discussion here in the past few months in regards to School Dude, which I know that the assistant city managers worked on to make sure that everybody has the information, or the appropriate information that is necessary. But in regards to capital expenditures, if it's below $25,000, typically we would be able to fix it within the schools with their project. But I'm looking forward to getting behind this and finding out exactly what's happening, and to try to, once again, we are really starting to work hand in glove with the school department. The superintendent's doing a fabulous job. Mr. Underwood, Mr. St. Cyr, it's just all about trying to get that critical communication back and forth to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's happening. So if you give me a little bit of time on this, I'll have the information, and once again, we'll put it back out to all of the principals as well as the custodians, that kind of one of those see something, say something. We really need to know about this stuff. But in meeting with Mr. Underwood previously during that snowstorm we had the other day, all was well until they found out typically some of the smaller items, and you never know with an elevator what it's going to cost. And some of the smaller items, it's the school department that is very aggressive in trying to get it accomplished, and it does take that few extra days. So it's something we should be working on from a communication standpoint.
What we were told was that the elevator had an issue prior to the final issue that it had, and it wasn't reported over, so they kept running it after there was an issue, and then it broke down. I don't disagree that Mr. Underwood and the DPW commissioner have a great working relationship, and the build up to that is a facilities department putting these two in one place and saying, okay, here we are, we have a facilities department that would oversee this stuff, and it would work as one. Right now we work separately, and that's the issue, because I was told on March 19th, they knew about it, and the DPW commissioner wasn't told for 2 weeks later, until after all of this was started. So that hand in glove and all of that, it's good to say, but at the end of the day, there's people in that building who couldn't go up in an elevator, and they thought it was getting fixed because it just has a sign on it that says out of order. And at the end of the day, it wasn't getting fixed. So I do thank the assistant city manager and your staff for jumping on it right away and saying, okay, we need to get a policy together that would actually work for the people within the building. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.8, Councilor Getchia. Request city manager reach out to 2 local high schools, Lowell High School, Greater Lowell Technical High School, to create an intern co-op program for the high school students. The purpose of the program would be to train students in the area of municipal employment, i.e., example, water, wastewater, DPW, City Hall, MIS, engineering, clerical. Anything else, Councilor? No? All right.
I was thinking
by Councilor Dakota.
I was thinking the mayor's duties also, so maybe they can go in the mayor's office.
Yeah. Registered speaker, I believe, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There is a registered speaker, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laura Ortiz.
Hi, Laura
Ortiz, City of Lowell resident. Thank you so much for putting this on. So I just had a question.
Mr. Mayor, can we have Ms. Ortiz to give us an address, please?
Okay, I'm exempt from that, and I would appreciate it if you'd stop asking me.
Nobody's exempt from that.
Yeah, there's federal laws to protect me having to say this. It's getting like ridiculous. I live in Lowell. You know that
There are no federal laws in this situation. It's a city.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the city solicitor. City solicitor, can you give us your opinion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, per the city council rules, anyone who wishes to speak, they have to register by stating their name and their address. And you have to either be a citizen of Lowell or you have to work here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I stated that I was a citizen of Lowell. Are you refusing me the right to speak on this motion?
So the danger, Mr. Ortiz, would be if you speak without stating your address, a motion can be made to strike your comments from the record.
Okay, so then I can't speak? Is that what I need clarification because I'm not really processing this, so I just want to make sure I
Just
understand.
say your name and address for the record, then you can speak as much as you want.
I couldn't hear you.
Just state your name and address for the record, please. That's all we're asking.
Okay, I'm a resident of Lowell. I live here.
Where? Where do you
I
live?
live in Lowell.
What is your address?
Okay, I'm not required to.
Yes, you are. There's no federal law in this building that says that you can be exempt. Show me the paperwork.
Okay, I'm not required to show you the paper.
Well, then I'm not required to have you speak.
I mean, this is you're going past
Counselor,
like,
I'm going to go to
such a
Solicitor
bad
again.
area.
Mr. Solicitor?
I just
Counselor Scott.
question. Just through you to the solicitor, are there any exemptions, and is there a way to properly file for an exemption if you don't want to list your address?
Mr. Solicitor?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, there are certain situations where someone could be exempt from providing that information, but in order for that to be vetted, that would have to be provided to the clerk. A conversation would have to occur between an individual and the clerk stating exactly the reason why. And then at that point, the clerk could contact me, and then we could put together the best and most appropriate plan moving forward.
Mr. Mayor, can I suspend the rules to let the speaker speak for the 3 minutes? It's taken us 7 to talk about it.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a motion on the floor by Councilor Gitcha to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
No.
No second. No. Councilor Roberts seconded. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy. Counsel Mercier.
No.
Counsel Noon.
No.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
No.
Counsel Scott.
No.
Counsel Yem.
No.
Counsel Chow.
No.
Counsel Dakota.
No.
Counsel Gitchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess.
No.
So, Mr. Ortiz, the floor could gladly be yours if just state your name and your address for the record.
Okay, someone, even though the law office illegally shielded the records, my P.O. Box address in Lowell that proves that I'm a Lowell resident was given out to the Lowell Sun, and that's already within the Lowell Sun newspaper regarding the open meeting law complaints back in January. You know, and multiple open meeting law complaints show that address. I mean, this is like literally getting ridiculous.
Mr. Mayor, can we move on? Can we move on,
There's
please?
a legal reason why, and you know, you don't get to embarrass me, profile. It's beyond ridiculous.
Just offering you, just asking the same thing we ask every other person that comes before
Okay.
us to speak. You're
Yeah,
no
but
different than anybody
it
else.
doesn't mean that there's not exemption categories, and it doesn't mean that you're crossing the line of trying to out someone's address that is legally protected.
Okay, so what we
Like,
can
I
do is.
cannot make this clear. Like, you know that you're making a legal mistake.
So Mr. Ortiz, what we'll do is this.
Sure.
We'll give you
Okay,
this.
so you're saying-
We'll give you the solicitor's information. You
Okay.
can call him and the clerk, figure out the exemption, and come back at a different time.
Okay, I mean, I'm not required to disclose that. There's exemptions
So there's a
in the
disagreement,
public
that's all.
records
So
law
we'll
that
figure it
says
out.
that you can't. This is such a violation, but, okay.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, what? Okay, so I can't
No.
speak. Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilor Gitcha?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. The trend in the industry is that I went to a conference the other day, and we already have had this conversation with Manager Golden and his staff about trying to get more students involved and giving them job skills that we necessarily need in our city, and trying to get them into the industry of municipal government, where you're watching water treatment plants have an extreme hard time of getting good people trained. And we used to have what they called an operator and training program, that we used to get people in line so that they would actually have the opportunity to take these exams and stuff. Wastewater, the same thing. I know someone extremely well who had a co-op job and has been with the city for over 36 years from that co-op job. And when you look at bringing people into the city, and the pride of working for your city, and the pride of doing all the stuff that you highlighted, Mr. Mayor, and eloquent outline of my motion, I think it means a lot to people. And, you know, you look at Councilor Robinson, and you look at Councilor Scott, who's in the industry now, and most of us here, Councilor Dakota, and even yourself, Mr. Mayor, if you had an opportunity as a young student and learned these things, I think it has an extreme value and for a short dollar, and it can help offset some of these things. When you have an employee who gets the opportunity to train people, they also see a big value in their worth within a municipality. So I think it's a motion that we should probably look at seeing if we could do something over the summer and start into some of these agreements, because we have co-op students that could do this. There's marketing. There's a lot of things that could happen for us. And if the manager would just take that into consideration.
A quick aside, Councilor Getcher, is the work that the Vote Kids did with the signage for the fire stations. Very well done. Thank you. Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I think this is a great motion. It's funny because just over the weekend, I read a lot on the weekends, see what's going on in other places. I found an interesting article, and I shot it over to the manager and said, hey, take a look at this. I found it interesting. And what this article discusses is an HVAC pre-apprenticeship program aimed to improve skilled worker pipeline. The Pryor High School Innovation Center in Oklahoma is using Interplay Learning's platform to provide hands-on training that includes repairing and maintaining the school's HVAC systems. I mean, there's a perfect example. There's an area that we struggle. If we can take some high school kids and some leadership in the field and get them hands-on training and to get an experience or an opportunity to see what that field is about while helping to maintain the building that they're utilizing, I mean, it's a win-win for everybody involved. It's showing people, because HVAC, just in this example, might not be everybody's cup of tea, but you don't know that until you've been exposed to it. You don't know that until you've got your hands dirty with it. And it might be something that you never anticipated, and until you got exposed to it, you might fall in love with it. So I think any opportunity that we can take advantage of to put the youth hands-on experience in all of these different fields, and as we all discuss many times, from plumbing to HVAC to ceiling tiles to all of these things that are going on in our facilities, we need the work, and I think there's plenty of kids out there that would love the experience and the opportunity. So great motion, and I hope we can do something. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.10, Councilor Janess, request city manager have proper department provide presentation to the council on current status of ARPA monies that have been obligated and the plan for the remainder of those funds to be obligated by the end of the year. Seconded by Councilor Getcher. Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We all know that we have until December 31st to obligate all these funds, and a little more than 6 months out. Good idea to get an idea of where we sit on this, and just so we're all on the same page. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.11, Councilor Janess, request city manager have proper department provide an update on Beaver Street Bridge project. Seconded by Councilor Leahy. Councilor Janess.
Motion speaks for itself.
All those in favor say aye. Comments? Motion passes. 5.12, Councilor Janess, request city manager have proper department investigate procurement of emergency plug tools for our first responders to increase safety in dealing with incidents involving electric vehicles. seconded by Councilor Leahy. Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This came up, I saw in the news last week another municipality had purchased them. These are basically devices that you plug into the charging port on either a plug-in hybrid or a full electric vehicle. And by doing so, it activates a safety mechanism in the car to disable the ability for the car to basically drive off. So if there's an accident or something like that, it's a way to ensure safety for the first responders and any other bystanders in the area. Just something to look at to see if it's something that could help our first responders.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I think it's a great motion. You know, I've seen quite a bit with electric cars in the news, and when there's accidents and things like that, they say they burn hotter and everything. Has our first responders, or have our first responders, like, been able to evaluate, and is there anything that they may need as a result of the increase in popularity of electric vehicles in the city?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, I'd have to get some more information on that. I do know that the fire department has had some training. I don't want to go over the top and say extensive training on solar panels and the like. But I'll reach out to the chief to find out what they have been doing in regards to electric vehicles. You are correct in regards to the other challenges that they possess. But I do know that after talking with the chief and some of the firefighters, they've had a lot of training in how careful they need to be if they're ever venting a roof and such. But I'll make sure that vehicles are on that as well.
Thank you, and that would include police as well, correct? Because in the event of an accident, I mean, I've heard stories where electric vehicles are in an accident, and if you even touch, there's a potential for electrocution off it. So I think the first responders know way better than I would. I'm just saying, if they could update us with if there's any new technology or pieces they need, please feel free.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 5.14, Councilor Scott requests city manager provide a report detailing the status of mitigation efforts listed in the 2015 and 2020 municipal vulnerability reports and the status of the planning for the 2025 report. Seconded by Councilor Yam. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually ended up reading the municipal vulnerability plan, 378 pages of it, after culvert issues were brought up within my district. So when I was looking at it, there was a lot of work that went into it by staff, community members. Like I said, it was a very thorough report. There was money spent on it to do the report. It's supposed to be done every 5 years. The group came up with a high action priority list during that report. Some of the things have brought up consistently here on this floor still, even tonight. The age, size, capacity of the culverts, canal wall deficiencies, the lack of a map of the entire city's drainage system is in the report, a cleaning schedule for the culverts, lack of emergency generators in our public buildings, street tree canopies, and the lack of a certified arborist is in the report, and invasive weeds. And there were some other items also in the report, but those are some that I know have come up here over and over again. So at the end of the report, it says the city is dedicated to implementing the findings of this plan and documenting the process. So I'm really looking for an update to see what we have accomplished over the last 5 years and what our plans are for the 2025 plan. Thank you.
Any comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. On to section 6. 6.1, motion responses already taken care of. A. B, state and federal partners grant opportunities. That was a motion by myself. Anybody else have any comments first? No? I'm fine with the report, Mr. Manager. Good luck. Motion response C, LTLC services. By me, any comments? I do have just a couple of questions, Mr. Manager, regarding the center. A task force is being put in place. Is that the deal?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we're continuing to put our best foot forward. We've been talking with, there's been a lot of collaboration. I want to thank Mrs. Fitzpatrick and Ms. Golden for that. We have a lot going on. The collaboration around and the coordination, which is obviously key, that everybody definitely understands. This is very similar to what Councilor Robinson was talking about as well. But the opportunities, we continue to look for opportunities to try to assist. And you know, in all honesty, I thought we had a couple that were hot, and in the world of real estate, sometimes that just doesn't happen. So we will continue to keep this moving forward. As many of you know, we definitely have challenges with land, but the leads that we've been receiving from people in the industry about how to get this done, I really feel as though we will continue to move in the right direction. However, I just wish I had a better report. We had so many good ideas, and they're falling flat right now because of the fact that we are pretty land poor on this. But we're still moving forward, obviously, as everybody knows, with CTI, and I apologize, Councilor Robinson, this is kind of all blending in a little bit with the permanent housing, the 19 units, and as well as the 50 units for homeless women. So we are making great strides, but Mr. Mayor, to you, we're still looking for that opportunity, and we continue to push forward.
Yeah, so the 19 beds is great. The 50 beds for women is fantastic as well. So the main, I think, concern or cause that I have, maybe some of the council has, is the shelter itself. Very difficult condition that it's in. There are some nonprofit organizations and some state agencies that are looking to come to Lowell to assist with their resources. Hopefully in the future we can collaborate with them in some sort of effort to combine services once and for all and into one spot that's not on Middlesex Street any longer. Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I brought a motion forward last term, I believe it was, what some other communities are doing with their shelter system, and it's that bug and scrub program where they have pretty much industrial washing machines on premise. They go out and they secure pillowcase protectors and mattress protectors, and they pretty much train the adults that are staying in the shelters with the pretty much pest management protocol, and they develop a skill set which they can go on and teach others in that case, and it helps to cut back on one of the things that we've all heard time and time again, where the bed bug issue, and it's just the nature of that industry. It is very common in most shelter type situations, but I think this is one approach that LTLC, with potentially a partnership or some encouragement from the city, could we help them to establish a training, educational opportunity for the residents of the shelter to learn and develop these skills while mitigating this pest control problem and kind of stepping it up and teaching them industry standards on this situation, because other communities are doing it, and I think it's another great opportunity that's in front of us. Thanks.
Councilor Russia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's very uncomfortable what I have to say right now, but I heard from a person that said that the shelter has a rodent situation and they've seen them. Now, I can hear that and not know, maybe it's not true, maybe this person's exaggerating, maybe this is happening. I don't know. I've never seen it. I'm not saying I'm taking this person's word for it, but we have a washer and dryer where I work, and people come in off the street and they use it. And one person did that last week and told me it was a completely different person, not the one that talked about the rodents, but this was a different person that said the exact same thing. Now I got to believe what I'm hearing could be true. So I'm asking if we could send a health inspector down there just to take a look at the rodent situation. It's one thing to be homeless, but to be homeless and put in a situation like that is not fair to anybody. And I'd like it checked out. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to the council. Council will ensure that DDS is over there tomorrow.
Again, to Councilor Rush's point, Mr. Manager, the place is in very, very difficult shape. To the point where I believe if we go in there and it gets shut down, what are you going to do with all the people that are in there, right? And I know that different nonprofit organizations and state agencies come to us for assistance, especially when they're starting up their programming or different things they want to get done. I think this is a prime opportunity that we have in front of us to, put a better situation for our homeless in place. and something that benefits the Middle 6th Street portion of the downtown as well. So I would hope that you and your team can push forward on this as much as possible and see, I don't know what options are available. It's through opera maybe or some sort of funding that we can help out and just to move it out of there. So thank you very much for the response. Motion response D, winter protocol beds. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Again, I'm thankful that there's work and still conversations being done, trying to gently nudge and encourage surrounding communities to kind of step up and give a hand to all those in need in the Merrimack Valley for the most part. I just think, I don't know if it's a matter of the state or what it could be, but I think we need to start looking in a different direction. I think we're all aware we're getting close to the maxed out situation of what limited amount of resources we have to continue doing what we do. I think I don't understand why there's not a program developed similar like when the state allowed the cannabis industry in, where they allowed host communities to kind of receive some kind of host community impact fee as a result of the negative impacts on the community. Maybe that's something we start looking to our state delegation to see, is there a possible way we could establish a host community impact fee for social services? So if we're depleting all kind of resources on a local level, that we're not being reimbursed anything. I mean, from the syringe pickup to the debris to all of these things, the policing, everything that you could imagine that goes into trying to keep our head above water in this problem in the city, and to see surrounding communities for whatever reason not being able or willing to step up and kind of shoulder the load with us. I think I'm glad NIMCOG is still pushing, still convening the groups and doing the heavy lift for the Merrimack Valley in particular, but I think we're gonna have to start looking, what can we do outside the box to kind of help ourselves until we get some stronger allies in this fight. Thank you.
Motion response D, school playgrounds. Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report. I understand 3 schools, the Riley, let me just look for the report here real quick. The Riley, the Durkin, and the O'Donnell, they're in the planning phase and be ready for construction 2025. I see that the Moody, the STEM, the Bartlett, the Cardinal, and the Green Hodge, I know that they're being worked on. Unless I miss it somewhere, has these, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager or to the assistant manager, Giovanni, have these parks have been completed construction already? Are they being utilized yet, or are they still being under construction?
Mr. Manager? Sorry, Ms. Rose.
So I connected with the folks from the school facilities department, and they informed me that the top list, so the Moody, STEM, Bartlett, the O'Connell, and the Green Elge had all gotten new play equipment fully installed. That was paid for and done by the school department. The Bartlett Community Partnership School is located adjacent to Cummins Ellis Park. And so the city does have plans, DPD does have plans in coming years to do some improvements at Cummins Ellis Park, but the play equipment that the school installed was closer to the actual school itself. So some of these, just given their location, are it was just play equipment that was installed in very close proximity to the school itself. So it could be more easily utilized for recess, for example.
Wonderful. Thank you for the report.
Okay. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. If we're all done with this, I just wanted to ask for a suspension of rules to ask for something, a report that.
Motion to accept the place on file by Councilor Leahy, seconded by Councilor Gitchell. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Councilor Leahy.
If I could just ask through you to the mayor, do we have a timeline, people calling when we might be able to pick up the trees, that the one that fell on Andover Street, the big one that's cut up, and then there's the one on Midland Street?
Mr. Manager.
I will find, I'm sorry, I apologize. Through you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, I believe the one on Andover Street is a private tree. It was actually in the middle of there.
It was? Okay.
Yeah, that's my belief.
Okay.
And then I'll work with DPW to find out when we can grab that, because I'm pretty confident the inland tree is a city tree. It was right on the
Just
middle of the
one on
sidewalk.
Andover Street, the kids and people are walking on Andover Street because they don't want to walk on the lawn. So if we can just find out a timeline, thank you.
We'll get eyes on that tomorrow, Counselor. Again, just to make sure that the sidewalk is open for passage.
Moving on to Section 7, votes for the city manager. A motion to combine 7-1, 7-2, 7-4, 7-6 by Councilor Dakota, second by Councilor Chow. To take those together, we'll save 7-3 and 7-5 separately. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 7.1, vote to accept, expend $405,381 SSYI grant for the Lowell Police Department. 7.2, vote to accept and expend, apply $88,140, a CSO grant. 7.4, authorize city manager to execute annual action plan FY 24-25. 7.6, declare surplus and convey 112 Adams Street. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor Yem, second by Councilor Scott. Roll call.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota.
Yes.
Council Getchia.
Yes.
Council Janess.
Yes.
7.3, vote to amend council rules, new rule number 41. Waive the full reading, seconded by title. A motion to adopt by Councilor Yem, second by Councilor Mercia. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
This is, we're going to be having a motion to place on the agenda for next week for a formal vote.
No, this is the vote.
Is that what we're going to do?
I believe this is the vote tonight, Councilor.
Then why is it saying in this, I thought it was to place on the agenda next week for a formal vote. That's what it's asking us to do.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I think you're correct, Council Mercy. It's got to be given to the council 1 week beforehand. My recommendation is to refer this to the public hearing it's a public hearing regarding ordinance involving the same thing in terms of censure. My recommendation would be to refer this matter to,
Public hearing,
no, it doesn't need a public hearing, just on the same
The
time,
formal
April
vote.
23rd.
April 23rd?
Motion by Councilor Mercia.
Yes, and that's the same thing as the next one that we're going to be discussing. They're asking for to place
I would
that
recommend the
one.
same thing. It's all kind of concerning one item.
Right.
We have to have a public hearing on one of those items. That's the night of the public hearing, one of those
Okay,
items.
so
The
that'd
other
be-
two can be brought up at that
So,
time as well.
So I would make that motion then.
Great, thank you, Councilor. Seconded by Councilor Robinson. 7.5, authorize city manager to file special legislation, waive the full reading, second reading. So we're going to kick that till
Yeah,
April.
there is a registered speaker on that one.
Okay.
Sherry Barboza.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you. I apologize, I wanted to be there in person, couldn't find the link. I think I was registered to speak on 7.3 as well, but that's okay. 7.5, this is the
Could you just state your
motion.
name and address for the record, please, Ms. Barboza?
Sherry Barboza, 20 Newell Street, Lowell,
Thank you.
Massachusetts, 01851. I just want to make sure I open the right one so I can speak. It's on the-
7.5.
Thank you. So it's on the proposal to have the amendment to the city council rules related to the censure of a member. And it was the 7.3 that I wanted to speak on in regards to being able to have just a voter be brought in at the half-year mark if a counselor is removed. It doesn't make any sense. This is going in front of the public, as you were saying, correct? So that we can all see this. I know you don't have to answer that, but this is really important because we voted for people to be in their seats. So if this right is taken away, I'm kind of confused about our democracy in all of this. So, and to also, I think there was a third option of allowing the seat to remain open, which is also absurd. There should be another person allowed to occupy the seat on the city council and I believe the school committee. So I just want everyone in our city to be aware that this is really important. This is about what we vote for, the few things that we get to actually make decisions about. And we need to make sure that we are electing the individuals that are on our council. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that the city council is going to be mindful of this. Thank you so much for your
Barboza.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll take 7.3 first, because that's a different, you need 8 votes for that, 7.3. Mr. Clerk, roll call. Roll call for both? Oh, referral, great.
It's being referred to 423.
Both 7.3 and 7.5?
That's correct.
Moving on to Section 8, ordinance from the city manager, 8.1, ordinance, new, Chapter 51, code for elected and appointed officials. First reading, that's it. Yeah. Refer to public hearing on April 23rd, 2024, at 7 p.m. Motion by Councilor Robinson. No, motion by Councilor Mercia to refer to a public hearing on April 23rd. Seconded by Councilor Janess. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Section 9, Constable Bonds, 9.1, Communication. City Manager requests approval of Constable Bond for Stephen J. DeRosa. Motion to adopt by Councilor Yem, seconded by Councilor Chow. Roll call.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry. Councilor Mercia?
this goes to who is the one that chooses this person, Stephen DeRosa, for constable? Who? It used to go to Susan LeMay. Somehow she used to be the one. Who is the one that does this now?
Mr. Baldwin?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The constable applications still flow through the assessor's office, so it's Ms. Bordeaux
Okay.
who accepts the application. The vote that comes before the body is on the bond for the constable, but she coordinates with the police department in terms of the background check for the individual.
Well, I hope before this person is chosen, are we voting for this person right now? Is this going to be a roll call vote for a vote?
Yes.
Okay. I don't mind voting for this person, but I would request that whoever is in charge in the assessor's office informs this person that there is a rule out there, and the rule says that you have to give the city 25% of your services for civil process under a fee structure. They should be known about this. I know they're not going to make a ton of money, but at least that's part of the deal. I'm trying to squeeze every cent I can for the taxpayer, but that's what I want to know.
Okay. Agreed, Councilor. Thank you. Roll call.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota.
Yes.
Council Getchier.
Yes.
Council Janess.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Section 10, reports, subcommittees. 10.1, rules and elections subcommittee, March 19th, 2024. Councilor Chow?
The Rules and Elections Subcommittee meeting, we met on March 19, and the result of that meeting was addressed in the items early on the agenda, which was 7.3, 7.5, 8.1. The members of the Rules and Elections Subcommittee were all present, including Councilor Dakota and Councilor Scott, and Councilor Mercia and Councilor Noon were also present. City Solicitor Corey Williams and the Assistant Solicitor Garrett Liu were also present to explain the Code of Conduct, how they came about it, and also the procedure to fill vacancy during the midterm for both the City Councilor and the School Committee. Basically, the Code of Conduct, as you've seen in the ordinance, and also the public hearing that proposed for the censure. Short of a guilty felony, it's subjective, but the code of conduct that was proposed, which the whole body support, really provide what is considered to be city councilor-like. It's up to a member of the city council to file a motion for censure in a timely manner, as proposed by Councilor Scott and Councilor Dakota. The next item that we discussed during that meeting was about the procedure to fill a vacant seat during the midterm, and the solicitor proposed two categories. Basically, what we should do the first 12 months and what we should do the second 12 months. And that was already evidenced in the earlier item that we discussed. Resulting from that, we need to file a special legislation, a home rule petition, because right now the way we fill a vacant seat is statutory. It's already in the laws how the city fill up those vacant seats. To change that, we need a home rule petition filed at the state level, which we just passed also. Other than that, I'm not sure if my colleagues, Councilor Dakota or Councilor Scott, would like to add anything else. That is my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 10-2, Transportation Subcommittee, April 2nd, 2024. Chairman Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Transportation Subcommittee met on April 2nd. Present were Councilor Janess, Councilor Noon. Also present was Transportation Engineer Liz Altman, Councilor Gitchia, Scott, Yem, and Mercier. Ms. Altman provided a presentation entitled Vulnerable Road Users, noting the definition of a vulnerable user is anyone who is not in a vehicle. She outlined existing conditions regarding high crash locations, highlighting between serious crashes and fatalities. Ms. Altman commented on primary risk assessments regarding intersections and segment of roads. She commented on the Lowell Forward Plan and the incorporation of Vision Zero Action Plan, which is a nationwide commitment for safer streets in the community. Ms. Altman noted action plans to reduce speed and for physical infrastructure changes, indicating the faster the speed, the more serious the accident. She noted incorporating speed humps temporarily to gain data and reduce speed, as well outlining various intersection projects by Mass DOT and the city for specific crash areas. Councilor Janess commented on the presentation and the steps being done for Vision Zero and how it incorporates the Complete Streets program. Ms. Altman indicated that Vision Zero is a more proactive approach. Councilor Janess noted existing signaling and crosswalks and questioned if safety could be enhanced with existing equipment. He commented that the citywide limit of 25 miles per hour was a good step moving forward, but there must be physical changes to slow speed as well. Councilor Noon noted presentation and commented on the need for walkability and biking implementations. Ms. Altman commented on continuing efforts to those goals and that there were planning documents associated with them that need to be implemented. Councilor Noon noted crash areas at Stedman and Westford Streets. Ms. Altman commented on plan to revise that area and that will go out to bid shortly, and that the entire area of Chelmsford Street needs assessment. I also commented on the Lowell High project and the UMass Link project, the effect on traffic in that area, and that this whole area will have a different look. Ms. Altman noted that national parks would be involved as well, and that UMass Lowell favors upgrading existing lanes for bike travel. Commissioner Mercier lauded the efforts of the department. Commissioner Gitchia commented on the Father Morissette area and the new developments there and the need for intense planning. Commissioner Gitchia noted the importance of connectivity with bike lanes and that they must be functional. Councilor Janess noted that the new developments illustrate the need for biking network. Ask this be placed on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chairman Dakota. 10-3, Economic Downtown Development Subcommittee, April 4th, 2024. Chairman Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you mentioned, on Thursday, we had a meeting of the Downtown Economic Development Subcommittee. Present on roll call were myself, Councilor Noon, Councilor Leahy. Also in attendance were Councilor Dakota, Sean Machado from the City Manager's Office, Tom Golden, the City Manager, Giovanni Baez-Rose, Director of DPD and Assistant City Manager, Attorney McKenna, from the Law Department. And on hand was Lowell Company, who came to present us with their new vision for the Hamilton Canal project. Back in 2020, the Lowell Company purchased 5 parcels from the city, parcels 1 through 5 in the Hamilton Canal District. Parcel 1 now has the garage that was completed in February and is now open for business. Parcels 2, 3, and 4 make up the parking lot in front of Utopia Park, just to the side of the 110 Canal building. And then parcel 5 is the one that's at the corner of Canal Street and Canal Street. The existing LDA that was signed by both parties in 2020 called for a high-rise construction on parcels 2, 3, and 4. Due to economic changes and basically costs and the other challenges with this project, the Lowell Company is looking to revise that LDA and the associated zoning code from requiring high-rise development on parcels 2, 3, and 4 to being one mid-rise wood frame building. Similar construction on parcel 5, which was already in the LDA. We went through a whole presentation as to what will be there, or what they hope to build there, how they hope to go about it. It'll all be rental housing, market rate rental housing, approximately 300 units total, as well as a commercial space in order to house a restaurant in the building that is proposed for parcels 2, 3, and 4. The other proposal is to combine parcels 2, 3, and 4 to one parcel so that they can build one building. Mr. Napoli shared the various challenges that he has run into since acquiring the property, including a challenge with the title on parcel 1, which took some time and some expense to resolve. This was nothing that the city did incorrectly as part of the transaction with Mr. Napoli, but rather went back to the original taking of this parcel back in the 90s. And it wasn't discovered until after the sale had closed, and Mr. Napoli went out to try to refinance the property. That is what caused the delay in the project and why we are here now. And Mr. Napoli spoke at length about trying to be a partner with the city and trying to build a partnership to make this project a reality. There were many questions from my colleagues and other folks in the room. I would highly suggest that anyone interested in this to go back and watch the subcommittee on LTC, because it was a very detailed discussion, and I know I'm not doing it justice now. But what came out of this was one motion asking the Assistant City Manager, Giovanni Baez-Rose, to come back to the full council with the proposed amendments to the LDA and the zoning code for us to discuss and to put through the full process. So the zoning discussion will have to go to the planning board because it's a form-based code. There is an administrative action that would need to be taken at the state level if we were to modify that code. And the LDA, in order to match the proposed zoning change, would need to be amended as well. So both of those things are with the administration, and we're waiting for them to come back so we can continue that discussion. At this point, I'll open it up to my colleagues on the committee if anyone else has anything they'd like to add.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. I thought the subcommittee was very informative, and for me, the bottom line is this. We haven't done anything with those parcels probably since the 80s or before. We've got a developer there now that wants to develop these parcels. It's not ideally what we were looking for originally a few years ago. Times have changed. But again, we have somebody that is interested in developing these. He's purchased them. It's going to be a little bit of a battle ironing out the details, but we're making progress, and if all goes well, in the next few years, we'll see development over there. Eventually, the tax money will come in, and the project is done over in the Hamilton Canal. So I think overall, it's a good project. I thank the Lowell companies for coming in and presenting to us, and I wish them success. And I know with the team we have on the city side, we'll negotiate the best deal we can for the city, and they'll negotiate the best deal for themselves, and we'll have some buildings over there in the next few years. So thank you to the city, thank you to the Lowell companies for coming out, and you ran a good meeting, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do agree with my colleagues. Mr. Lowell and his firm gave a very good presentation. In fact, to be quite honest, I was not a big fan of coming down the Rotary onto Dutton Street and looking at a 12, 14-story building. So I think this 5-story, one-building concept kind of works with what we're looking at right now. So I think it works very well. With that being said, though, however, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there is language in the agreement that states that the failure of the developer to comply with this agreement with respect to a development parcel shall only affect that development parcel and not any of the others. This would permit Lowell companies to retain ownership of the parking garage and all the revenue that it will generate. You also didn't inform the subcommittee what the cost difference would be between the present LDA and the newest scenario. Makes you curious. I understand Mr. Lowell is a businessman, and it is his business to maximize his profits. However, if this council does not amend this proposed LDA, Mr. Lowell will walk away with a cash cow garage, and the city of Lowell will begin the process of finding another developer. So let's not shed too many tears for the Lowell companies.
Councilor Robertson?
Thank you. This sounds crazy to me. We've heard even tonight. We don't have land. If the shoe was on the other foot and a contractor failed to provide a service that was agreed upon in contract with, I'm sure, Mr. Lowell or any other large-scale developer, you better believe he's not going to budge. This is what happens when you don't have a vision for these parcels and you're just selling empty plots of dirt. Are we just going to accept anything that comes our way just to say that we have something over there? Or are we going to try to utilize it and capitalize on every square foot of it? I mean, if we have an agreement in place, and you're talking about costs and inflation and loans, and this is the same development that's redoing Hampton Beach, isn't it? So I don't think there's too much concern when it comes to that. But because we're a gateway city, all of a sudden you need everything under the sun to make some kind of project that we never even discussed in the first place doable. And we're just going to sit here and praise and say, well, we're going to have something. It's nothing like we wanted, nothing like we discussed, nothing like the community needs, but they'll combine 3 parcels and we'll have something. I don't even understand that logic. I think if we have a contract in place, when inflation goes up, municipalities have to eat that. Sometimes it means cutting services. Whatever it has to be, we have to find a way to make it happen. And believe me, by no stretch of the word do I think a developer of this scale is struggling. So I think as a council, we need to reevaluate. Are we going to just accept what anybody's going to throw down our throat because we're dying of thirst to see something over there? Or are we going to try to look at this contract and say, hey, listen, you know, we can bend a little bit, but we can't break? This is ridiculous, combining 3 parcels to do a wood structure when the initial proposal was far greater than that. There's been no problems with a lot of these other developments that a large-scale developer like this has done. So I think this is a real conversation we're going to have, whether that needs to be an executive session or what. But I think we need to have a real conversation on this and not just praise because they're doing something. I mean, I wasn't involved in this council when this initial deal went out, and nor was half of this council or this administration for the most part. So for us to sit back and say, hey, yesterday's failures, we're just going to have to eat and be happy that something gets done, I don't relate to that train of thought. Thank you.
There were no failures on the council's part when this deal was made. There were timelines put in place, all kinds of things that were set in stone in order for the deal that was given, a very generous deal. So that's to your point, Councilor, you know, things have to be followed through, and obviously they're not at this time. Councilor Yem, then Councilor Getchia, then Councilor Leahy. Councilor Yem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first question that I would ask the DPD to send the counselor the map of all the parcel in that HCID, because from reading it, I'm trying to figure out where's parcel 1, 2, 3, and 3A and all that. So if we have that, that would be helpful. Number one. Number two, I'm torn in between of accepting the explanation from Lowell company. I have a resident reach out to me after they watched the subcommittee hearing, and they were not so kind in word. But for me, I would agree, because we have, invest so much time and effort of the staff time into this. My last question would be, how long do we give the Lowell company to complete the project that he promised at the subcommittee meeting? Thank you.
Councilor Getcha, I'm sorry, who's first?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. When you look at anything in life, a great negotiator sells their position. That's what was done. Someone sold their position. Now it's up to you to move through what's the best interest of our position. Academy Award, it was won. Sales pitch, that's what people do. If you're looking for something, and that's what you do. You come in, the sky's falling, and I need, and that's, I look forward to speaking about this in executive session, because I don't think the city should rest their position in public like we're doing tonight. I think that councilors should sit back, hold their positions, get the information, and vet it in executive session. I remember just not that long ago, the manager was in an executive session with all of us talking about the Hamilton Canal District, and it was with glowing results, and all of us were so involved and so ingrained, and we were looking so forward to these projects coming to fruition. We were talking about mixed use. Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And so I think at the end of the day, as the mayor stated earlier, it's all about the negotiation, and it was sold to the public. That's what was just sold the other day. Something was sold, and now you take that information, you have everything that was outlined, and now you vet it, and you come back with your position. I think that's fair, and if I were this council, I'd be careful on how far I go, because you're giving the other side information that we should probably be talking about in executive session. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments from anyone? Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. No, I just want to say that if this goes to executive session, that's fine. I think that the DPD has been working on this for a long time now, and I'm confident that they're at the work that they've been doing with this. My point again is nobody's knocking down the door to get these parcels. Last administration and previous councils, we made a deal to sell them, and we did. Nobody can argue that COVID put everybody back in with delays, and expenses went through the roof. So I just feel like we should tread carefully on this. We have somebody that wants to develop it. And again, it's been over 40 years. So if we want to, we should negotiate this. We should look at it with a fine-tooth comb. But if we let this deal fall through, then who knows, we're going to be looking at another 30 years before we develop it. So I just want
Mr.
to...
Mayor, may I make a motion to send this discussion into the executive session, Mr. Mayor?
Right now?
Yes.
Motion by Councilor Yam, go to executive session, second by Councilor Dakota. Mr. Manager, all those in favor?
Could I just have a point of order before we go in favor? Are we talking about going to executive session tonight?
Yeah, are we talking about going tonight?
Oh, okay.
No.
Thank you.
Not this evening. So, Mr. Manager, when that's ready to come before us, schedule it at that point in time? Makes sense?
Mr. Mayor, through to the council, if it's the will of the council, as soon as we have additional information on this, we'll schedule that executive session to discuss where we're going and what will be asked of us.
All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. 10-4, Housing Subcommittee, April 9, 2024. Chairman Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. So the subcommittee meeting, the housing subcommittee meeting convened at So at 5:35, and present was the members of the subcommittee, myself as the chair, Councillor Chow, and Councillor Gachia was present. In addition to that, we have with Councillor Rita Mercier and Councillor Nguyen on the Zoom. In attendance also we have City Manager Tom Golden, CFO Baldwin, Assistant CFO Austin Ball, Assistant Manager Director of DPD Giovanni. The CFO Baldwin gave us a presentation about the Affordable Housing Trust and then give us the goal of the Affordable Housing Trust using the Lowell forward, the goals, and the goal is to afford the new 800 new affordable housing by 2040. The detail of the housing trust has a 7 element. Number 6 talked about expand and create new opportunity for affordable housing, affordable home ownership. And this affordable housing trust law is based on the statutory authority chapter 44 section 55C. So Councillor Kichi asked about the hard data regarding how many affordable housing that city produced so far, and then the CFO do not have that yet, and in the meantime, Councillor Chow was talking about how important this one would be in the way of creating more affordable housing in the city. Councillor Nguyen on Zoom, and it is his motion, and he was talking about this had been discussed by previous councillor, and then in addition to that, Councillor Nguyen said this would be critical, would be important, and he was excited about possibility of creating this to create a specific fund to create affordable housing. So the meeting was adjourned at 6:32 p.m. Thank you. Maybe my members have anything to add. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. Need a motion to accept the reports as reports of progress by Councilor Jeunesse, seconded by Councilor Mercer. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 11.1 claims, 1 personal injury, 4 property damage. Need a motion to refer to the Law Department by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Kitchia. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 11.2 miscellaneous. Ak Chaudhry requests removal of handicap parking sign at 271-273 Concord Street. The person here? Make a motion. Someone make a motion to refer to the transportation engineer for a report by Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Jeunesse. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 11.3 miscellaneous. Norma Von Fricken request permission to address council regarding homeless conditions. Seconded. No second needed. Ms. Van Fricken, go ahead.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Norma Von Fricken, 57 Dover Street, talking about homelessness again. I think I've been up here now 3 times talking about homelessness. Of course, you know that I've been homeless. That's a story for another day. In any case, this will be brief, I promise. There are really just 2 things that I have to say tonight. First, I've said it before. Everyone in this wealthiest of countries, so they say, deserves a decent place to live. And let's be honest, brotherly love begins where we hang our hat, around us, not somewhere else, not some other country. The thing is, nobody's around in our neighborhoods anymore. We've evolved in a neighborless way of life. It's a huge social issue. It's been proven communities where togetherness exists, the crime rate drops, have lower rates of gun violence, fewer lives are lost in tragedies, including natural disasters. The thing is, Why do people live in a community? To be around other people. Moreover, if we looked after each other, the basis of brotherly love, we probably wouldn't even need the police. And two, today, in our city of Lowell, it may be safe for migrants, but it's not safe for us. It's true, many citizens born and bred in our country become homeless because they're unable to pay their rent because of lost jobs. Our economy, our great economy, is creating more and more technology and lost jobs. And these people are mixed in with the vagrants and the bums, that's what we used to call them, who don't want to work or have any responsibility. Our city is beginning to look like a time warp, and most people that I talk to agree with me. They are fed up with the tent cities. It's like Depression days with slums, and it's going to get worse if we don't stop it. We know too well many of the homeless hasten the spread of illness, illicit behavior, including communicable social diseases that will also increase as homelessness increases. The citizens of Lowell, the bottom line is, are fed up with it. We're fed up with the filth in the tent cities, up and down our beautiful Merrimack River. That's the bottom line. And it appears we can't rely on the government or old methods that aren't working. I'm almost done, by the way. We need creative solutions, I believe, even if we have to bend some laws, and make some of our own to make that happen. Although much of homelessness hinges on things that are out of control, of course, unemployment, and the other big social problem, marriage and family life.
Ma'am,
We
3
can
minutes is
hasten
up. Wrap
changes
up.
with the
Ma'am.
final goal, making homelessness illegal. I have 2 paragraphs left, very short. Being resourceful and creative, we can place the homelessness on Hurd Street right now in an empty building there, the former courthouse. It has bathrooms and sinks. Use available space, what other cities are doing, working with real estate. But the best and most pragmatic solution for the well-being and ours of theirs, while helping the environment, by the way, where they can work for a living and develop a trade with skills like farming, domestic skills, and others. It's time to put those people who choose to be homeless earn their keep while helping others through employment in the old-fashioned poorhouse.
There you go.
Thank you.
No.
We can't wait for irresponsible government. We have to solve the
Ms.
problem.
Bonfrey, time's up. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
And stop homelessness in its tracks.
Great.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Registered speaker.
It's
Sherry Barboza.
unacceptable.
We
The
actually have a
people of
speaker on
Lowell
this.
are fed up. Everybody that I talk to.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. I just wanted to add, and I think that Councilor Mercier talked about it, is that we have people still in tents. We have lots of people still in tents, but our shelters are unsanitary, and they're not able to take care of the people. There's people that are homeless of no doing of their own who want to live somewhere safe. And we are housing people that just came in, and I'm not against housing other people that come from other countries by any means, but we have this problem here, and we constantly are talking over and over and over about it. And we really need to address it and not just constantly have these conversations. We have so many groups here. We have all these towns that we need to hold accountable to help us. This is not just Lowell's problem, but we do need to have a safe place for people to go so that they don't feel like they have to be out in these tents to form their community, to be validated, to receive the services that they need to receive. We are a city, that's why people come here. to get the resources that they need and to feel safe and to belong. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Section 12, announcements. Any announcements? Adjournment. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Mercia. Somebody has something to say? No?